morning. Happy Halloween. Welcome to Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a community of diverse beliefs and experiences, nurturing the liberal religious spirit and united by our desire to grow in love and in service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, you are welcome here. Whether you gather with us every Sunday, once or twice a year, or are with us this morning for the first time, we are glad you are here. I'm Reverend Sharon Wiley, Chalice's minister. Our worship musician this morning is Justin Gray. Welcome to this online worship service. Welcome to those of you watching live using Zoom on Sunday morning, and welcome to those of you who are watching the recording of this service later on Chalice's YouTube channel. For those of us using Zoom, please notice on your menu that there's your Zoom menu that there's a button that says CC Live Transcript. This is Zoom's closed captioning service, and you can click on it to hide the subtitle, or you can click on it to show the subtitle. You're in control of whether that function is on or off on your screen. Also on your menu is the chat button for those of you who like to use the chat during the service, which you're welcome to do. And in this service, we're particularly invited to do later in the service. Just be sure that when you post, that you use that little blue drop-down menu to select everyone. If you only chat with the, I think, host and panelists is what it says. I'm all the hosts and panelists, and I may not see or be able to respond to your message during the service. And we like to use chat for everyone to talk together. So let's give ourselves a big hug of hello and welcome. This is our annual Remembrance Sunday, where we reflect on grief and people we've lost in our lives. And it's not an accident that this is a time of year that's also Halloween, which can feel very separate. But particularly since these events fall on the same day this year, I want to invite you to particularly think about how these messages go together. Fundamentally, Halloween can be understood as a secular observance that death is a part of life, and it's a playful observance of ghosts and cemeteries and skeletons. And so that's part of the message that death is part of life, and we live with that every day. Just as grief becomes part of our lives, we carry our losses with us always, and sometimes that calls us into somber and reflective times, but we can also find times to be joyful in our remembering and playful in our remembering of our loved ones, telling stories that make us laugh and smile and help us feel that connection. So we'll all of those things coming together today. So finally, I want to especially welcome those of you who are newcomers at Chalice this morning. Towards the end of the service, I'll put a link in the chat box for adding your name to our email list. Our weekly email is the best way to get information about the many groups and activities we offer. Most of those are still happening during Zoom. We do have some meal activities that are beginning to happen in person. Now, let's take a breath together. We begin our service by acknowledging that wherever each of us is watching, if we are in what is now called the United States, then we are on land that has been stolen from indigenous peoples. Our congregational home in what is now called Escondido is on land that is part of the traditional territories of the 12 bands of the Kumeyaay Nation and the 7 bands of the Payamkacham, also called the Luiseño. Land that is sacred to us now was stolen from people for whom that land was and is still sacred. In recognition that we are the beneficiaries of a history of colonialism, we have made financial donations in the past year to several local indigenous-led organizations, California Indian Legal Services, and indigenous centers at SDSU and CSU San Marcos. It is our hope at Chalice to find our way to right relationship with local tribes. And now we light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. The symbol of a flaming chalice goes back to World War II and reminds us again that we are connected to peoples of the past through our practices today. May our chalice flame burn brightly, that all who are seeking may find us. The words of our call to worship. Those who have come before us survived. Our ancestors survived racism and violence and war. They fought or fled or plain old endured. Ancestors whose lives were seeds to our blossoms, just as we will be seeds to a next generation. People we never knew brought us to this moment. Gifts and blessings and circumstance. We sit under trees we did not plant, drink water from wells we did not dig. And this congregation, just over 20 years old, has seen children grow into adults, has seen adults become ancestors, tears and laughter. We sit this morning, each in our own homes, among the ghosts of those who have come before. My grandmother and yours, here. Your great-grandfather and mine, here. All of us one day to be ghosts ourselves, memories. The mystery of our interconnectedness, the blessing of our interdependence. Take comfort this morning in knowing we are not the first to face hardship. We are not the first to survive and overcome, nor will we be the last. Let us worship together. You're invited to join in singing.
Listen more often to things than to beings.
Our Sunday worship is the shared spiritual practice of our community, and we tend to the congregation during this time by sharing and honoring our joys and sorrows. If you'd like to share a joy or sorrow with the congregation this morning, now is the time for us to share that news in the chat box. This is confidential. It doesn't become it's not confidential to the people who are here, but we don't speak these out loud, so they don't become part of the recording. So you don't need to worry about that. If you would like to send me a note about your joy or sorrow, or to make a prayer request, please email me. I'll put my email address in the chat box.
The Invisible String, written by Patrice Karst and illustrated by Jeff Stevenson. Liza and Jeremy, the twins, were asleep one calm and quiet night. Suddenly it began to rain very hard. Thunder rumbled until it got so loud that it woke them up. "Mommy, Mommy!" they cried out as they ran to her. "Don't worry, you two. It's just the storm making all that noise. Go back to bed." "We want to stay close to you," said Jeremy. "We're scared." Mom said, "You know we're always together, no matter what." "But how can we be together when you're out here and we're in bed?" said Liza. Mom held something right in front of them and said, "This is how." Rubbing their sleepy eyes, the twins came closer to see what Mom was holding. "I was about your age when my mommy first told me about the invisible string." "I don't see a string," said Jeremy. "You don't have to see the invisible string. People who love each other are always connected by a very special string made of love." "But if you can't see it, how do you know it's there?" asked Liza. "Even though you can't see it with your eyes, you can feel it with your heart and know that you are always connected to everyone you love. When you're at school and you miss me, your love travels all the way along the string until I feel it tug on my heart. And when you tug it right back, we feel it in our hearts," said Jeremy. "Does Jasper the cat have an invisible string?" Liza asked. "She sure does," said Mom. "And best friends like me and Lucy?" asked Liza. "Best friends, too." "How far can the string reach?" "Anywhere and everywhere," Mom said. "Would it reach me even if I were a submarine captain deep in the ocean?" asked Jeremy. "Yes," Mom said, "even there." "Or a mountain climber?" "Even there." "A ballerina in France?" "Even there." "A jungle explorer?" "Even there." "How about an astronaut out in space?" "Yes, even there." Then Jeremy quietly asked, "Can my string reach all the way to Uncle Brian in heaven?" "Yes, even there." "Does the string go away when you're mad at us?" "Never," said Mom. "Love is stronger than anger, and as long as love is in your heart, the string will always be there. Even when you get older and can't agree about things like what movie to see, or who gets to ride in the front seat, or what time to go to bed. Oh, that's right, you two should be in bed." And with that, they all laughed as Mom chased the twins back to their beds. Within a few minutes, they were asleep, even though the storm was still making the same loud noises outside. As they slept, they started dreaming of all the invisible strings they have, and all the strings their friends have, and their friends have, and their friends have, until everyone in the world was connected by invisible strings. And from deep inside, they now could clearly see no one is ever alone.
The wheel of the year turns again. Summer is almost fully behind us now, where we have mostly cooler days, mark the beginning of what we hope and pray will be a rainy season. No matter the temperature outside, the days grow shorter. As with many holidays, Christian and pagan traditions overlap this time of year, all of them honoring our ancestors, our beloved dead. In pagan traditions, tonight is Samhain, the third and final harvest holiday of the Wheel of the Year. This is the time of year when it is said that the veil between the seen and the unseen is thinnest. At this time of year, pagans honor our ancestors with ritual and feasting, asking for blessings and for guidance. In the Catholic tradition, All Saints' Day and the Feast of All Souls are November 1st and 2nd, both commemorating the faithful departed. The secular holiday of Halloween has evolved from these Christian and pagan traditions, which is why images of ghosts, witches, skeletons, and cemeteries figure so prominently. In Mexico, the Catholic holy days have become a unique cultural celebration, Day of the Dead, Dia de Muertos. This is one of Mexico's most important holidays, a time to remember loved ones now gone. Families prepare favorite foods of the departed and picnic at their graves. They adorn the graves with marigolds, the traditional flower of the dead, and strew paths of petals to lead the spirits to the offerings. People dance, sing, and share memories of their loved ones, welcoming their spirits who are thought to return briefly to take part in the celebration. Our worship service today honors all these traditions in the recognition that our beloved dead are not gone at all, but still with us. We're not good at knowing in the dominant culture of the United States, knowing and remembering our ancestors, naming our ongoing grief, talking about death. And we're not good at remembering ourselves as connected to those who have come before us. So our service today is meant to counter some of those harmful teachings that many of us have grown up with. In these still difficult times, it continues to be overwhelming to grieve and count our losses. We continue to live through a pandemic. Over 700,000 people have died in the United States, almost 5 million people worldwide. In spite of the development of vaccines, we cannot say or imagine when the pandemic will be fully over. We also continue our awareness of the deaths of Black people at the hands of police. It has become a regular part of our lives to heed the call to remember their names, to say their names. Those who have gone before us died from COVID, died from racism. These too are our ancestors now. It is up to us, the survivors, the descendants, to build a world where such deaths will not occur. So we mark these deaths with 2 photo memorials this morning. I invited you to send me names and photos of your friends and family who have died from COVID. If you didn't get those into me and want to share a name in the names in the chat, you're welcome to do that. And we also have names of over 200 Black people who were killed by police in the first year following the death of George Floyd. Last May to this May. These names were compiled by Newsweek. So this is a time for recognizing that these losses too are all around us and we grieve together. Let's just take a moment of silence together. Too many names, too many losses. The Sunday offering is an expression of the generosity that makes our congregational life possible. Lao Tzu teaches in the Tao Te Ching, there we go, the master has no possessions. The more he does for others, the happier he is. The more she gives to others, the wealthier she is. Please text your donation to Chalice. If you haven't texted a donation before, know that once you text the amount, you'll get a reply with a link to follow to enter your credit card information. And if you've entered this information previously when you've donated, you won't need to enter it again. If your Sunday donation is part of your pledge payment, please be sure to indicate the word pledge after the dollar amount. And know that you can make a text donation anytime. It doesn't need to be just during the worship hour. The phone number will be on screen in a moment, and I'll also put it in the chat box. Please give generously. Please join in dedicating our offering with words of affirmation. As Unitarian Universalists, we gather to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Our story is called Life and I, a story about death, written by Elizabeth Helen Larson and Maureen Schneider, translated from the Norwegian by Rosie Hedger. I am death. Just as life is life, I am death. I pay visits to small animals with soft fur and to big animals with trunks or sharp teeth. I may arrive before the birds awaken or after the sun has swept over the sky. I may appear in the haze that hovers above the sea, or in the narrow strip of moonlight. Some light candles as they see me approach. Others close the curtains and hope I might pass by. Sometimes I must knock a little more firmly on doors that nobody wants to open, but from me no one can hide. I come most often to those with wrinkles, those who have lived the longest, those filled to the brim with the wonders of life, as if filled to the brim with food. I take their arm and we hold one another steady, bodies creaking as we hobble onwards together. Sometimes I have to visit many people in the same place. Shoulder to shoulder, we stand in a circle. I put up lights for all to see. No words are necessary as we hold hands and slowly move as one bright flock. From time to time, I meet those with downy soft hair and little warm hands that I hold in my own. They look me in the eye without blinking as we walk together, step by step. Some proudly show me that they can whistle, while others laugh and playfully jump like bunny rabbits. And those who can't walk, I carry, cradled close to my chest, as I hum a soft, sweet melody. I also meet those inside tummies, those who haven't yet been born. I tell them about butterflies, dandelions, and trees, about snowflakes, bare feet, and the splish-splash of the sea. I tell them about love and living inside each other's hearts. They look at me with eyes wiser than my own, as if they already know everything there is to know. Many people ponder all their lives what will happen when I come. Will it be chaotic or quiet, with the loss of a heartbeat and one last breath? Will they be buried or cremated? Can their ashes be scattered in the winds of a mountaintop? Will they go to heaven? Will they be born again? Is there a final resting place for us all? All of these questions will be answered by me. I keep nothing hidden or secret. If I were to stop, who would make way for everything that takes root and grows? If I were to disappear, who would make way for all yet to be born on our earth? If I were to die, who would make room for new dreams and new worlds? Life and I live together in every body. Life and I share everything that starts or stops. Life and I stand together behind all doors that open. If you are afraid of me or of life, I can whisper something to you. Love. Love can transform sorrow and hate. Love can visit you every single day. Love does not die, even when it meets me. I am death, a part of life, a part of love, and a part of you. Take a breath with me. Now is the time for our remembering. Today we call our beloved dead a naming ritual. The power of naming, of knowing, and expressing someone's name is ancient and stretches across faith traditions. You're invited in just a moment to share in the chat box the names of whoever you carry with you, ancestors, friends, recent losses, ancient losses. Our beloved dead are not gone at all, but still with us, and we call their names. I call the names of Chalice members lost in the past year. Corby Harrison. Mark Basilla. Bob Nelson. Natalie Milana.
Let the life I lead speak for me. Let the life I lead speak for me. When I'm lying in my grave and there's nothing more to say, let the life I lead speak for me. Let the life I lead speak for me. Let the life I lead speak for me. When I'm lying in my grave and there's nothing more to say, let the life I lead speak for me. Let the friends I have speak for me. Let the friends I have speak for me. When I'm lying in my grave and there's nothing more to say, let the friends I have speak for me. Let the work I do, let the work I do speak for me. Let the work I do speak for me. When I'm lying in my grave and there's nothing more to say, let the work I do speak for me. Let the songs I sing speak for me. Let the songs I sing speak for me. When I'm lying in my grave and there's nothing more to say, let the songs I sing speak for me. Let the love I share speak for me. Let the love I share speak for me. When I'm lying in my grave and there's nothing more to say, let the love I share speak for me. Let the life I lead, let the life I lead speak for me. Let the life I lead speak for me. When I'm lying in my grave and there's nothing I lead speak for me. Let the life I lead speak for me.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time, daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love, lovers of life. We are the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace. We are the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time, daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life. We are the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace. We are the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the spirit of God. We are one. 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 We are one.
Breathe. Think of all the names we shared in the chat, and then the invisible string connecting us to those who've gone before, our love, shared names several of us know, more than one of us know. I feel that grief, but I also feel that joy of knowing and loving so many. Our closing hymn is Not All Shall Be Well. It is Well With My Soul. The hymnist is Horatio Spafford, and he wrote this hymn after the unexpected death of his 5 children. And so, yeah, I just wanted you to know that as we sing together. So I want to lift up to you that we spend a certain amount of energy trying to avoid our grief, trying not to remember. But when we're invited into a space of sharing like this, it can feel so welcome that we can resist leaving. So I want to name that for you as our time together comes to a close. Some of you will have the temptation to stay in this tender and somber place, and yet we can't live here. We have to return. So it is part of pagan ritual, and it is part of our in-person gatherings when we have them, that after being in the chapel for this time together, that we drink coffee and eat cookies and those kinds of things. That is part of the pagan ritual before we open the circle, cakes and ale, because it's important to ground ourselves, to bring ourselves back into our bodies. So I want to encourage you. I assume many of us have maybe beverages and snacks with us already, but to think about that as our time together comes to a close, to take care of your tender heart, to maybe have something warm to drink, tea, coffee, something to snack on to help bring us back into our bodies and to care for ourselves. So our gathering today is not to hold on to those who are gone, but rather to celebrate life, to grieve loss, and to remember love. It is said that death ends a life, not a relationship. If you are feeling particularly blue this time of year, or even just today, please consider being intentional about Halloween this evening and making sure you have some candy and opening your doors and letting the laughter and joyfulness of the children having fun, let it come into your heart and touch you and lift you. May the beauty of our gathering be a comfort against the sorrows of loss. May the blessings of our time together this morning strengthen and nourish you in the week to come. Blessed be and happy Halloween. You're invited to close our time together by singing the well, and everyone is invited to our online coffee hour.